How are you?
Doing good.
Good. Thanks for joining us today, Caesar.
Oh yeah, we're excited. Yeah,
I'm repping, and I got the
I love it.
pins, but most importantly, I got one of these bad boys.
You got some beer. There you go.
I'm very much looking forward to cracking this one open. So this is your Kinetic Blueberry. Is it okay? I always say Goza, but then I've also heard Gose. And then I've also weirdly heard Gosi, but I don't think that one's even close. That one can't be close, right?
Goza. I mean, it's German. It comes from a town that has the Goes in the name. I don't know how the Germans would pronounce it exactly, okay. But I've heard Goza most of. There's not to be confused with a Goose, which is a different kind of beer from Belgium. But it all goes. It all goes.
It all goes down the hatch.
Right.
So obviously I'm assuming I'll be getting some blueberry notes on this one, but will you take me through what I should be tasting as I have one of these sips?
Oh yeah. So this is one of our, we don't do a lot of distribution of our Goza, the fruited series. It's mostly taproom because we can't keep up with it here anyway. But what we tried to get something that is more in season, obviously. So, and but my preference on beers like that is that they should be dry. They should be like inviting another sip. They should be a great beer to like, eat with or drink with, pair with foods that you want to kind of welcomes you to like clean your palate and then bring it back to where you were, like whether it's cheeses or meats or anything else. Now, the fun thing about a Goza is that it's got a little more complexity than just a sour beer, right? So you got the mixed fermentation going in there, giving that lactic acid. Not super acidic. I am not a big fan of like really, really acidic beers where it makes you pucker. They're
the
fun.
Vinegary ones.
Oh yeah, definitely. Hopefully other brewers will be like, "Oh, come on, Caesar, what are you talking about?" But vinegar should not be in beer,
Right.
We can make vinegar, really good malt vinegar, but it should be non-vinegary. So just a nice sort of like subtle tartness towards maybe a little more of a bright, sourness to the beer, but you want to still be able to taste other things in there, like the fruit complementing it, the blueberry, and the salt kind of helps to add a little bit of this like fullness, if you will, to the beer that otherwise would be a little too thin.
Yes, and like really fresh, like really fresh tasting. It tastes like. This tastes like I went to an actual legitimate berry bush, but like in springtime and got like a handful of those early season berries.
Berries. There you go.
Very light. Okay.
And I would say also it pairs really well with your hair.
Oh,
if you pour it in a glass.
Wait, really? Hold on.
Yeah.
We gotta see that. I have glasses. Hold, please. Oh yeah, this is the whole reason I have a full bar in my home so that I am prepared for moments like this. Oh yeah. Oh.
I don't think we knew that. I don't think we knew that was going to happen at all, but there you go.
I love a color coordination. I got my blues. I got my purple pinks. Yeah. We're here for this. Okay. I've had this delicious blueberry goes. So I need to get into the origins of Sketchbook, but in order to do that, I have to hear your origins in alcohol, which starts, of course, at your first ever alcoholic beverage.
All right. Well, I know it's going to be a varied audience, but the really, I don't think it's the reason why I started a brewery. But so my mom says that when I was 6, I grew up in Brazil. When I was 6, I found a glass that my uncle, on a Sunday, my uncle had made a caipirinha, which I don't know if you know what a caipirinha is. I can get into that. It's like a mint julep without the mint.
Yeah.
Sugary, limey.
Love me some cachaça. Yeah.
There you go. And I found it refreshing because it's full of ice. I just took a sip or two, hit my head on the table. I don't remember any of it. That was my first encounter with an alcoholic beverage. That's really
amazing.
What turned me into alcoholic beverages, but ever since, I grew up in Brazil, I came to the U.S. when I was about 18. So I wasn't even a drinking age when I came to the U.S. Not really interested in a lot of alcoholic drinks either. But the caipirinha was always like, it was not really considered back in Brazil, an alcoholic drink. It was something that we passed around from people to people.
The full blown cocktail, like
COVID.
15% thing
Right,
was not an alcohol. Okay.
And it would go around with everyone, like from grandparents to, the 12, 15-year-olds of a little sip, like don't sip it too much, but or wait until it waters down a little bit. So I've always been a huge fan of that. And beer, I didn't really get into beer until I was about 23, mostly because whatever else was out there sucked. And it wasn't until I got into craft beer when I was in Boulder that I found some, amazing craft beers out there. And it was like, yeah, that's what I want now. That's the origin.
6 years old for a Caipirinha, you were hardcore. Like you did not mess around.
No. Got to go straight for the booze.
That's intense. Yeah, no kidding. Like full blown liquor.
Don't try this at home, anyone. Don't try it at home.
Well, you should definitely try your Caipirinhas at home, to be fair.
That's right. If you're under 21, don't try it at home.
But maybe not for 6-year-olds. So then you go to Boulder, you find craft beer out there when you're 23. Yeah. How does that lead to ultimately Sketchbook?
There was a gap. There was a huge gap. I think when people ask me, like, what was your first beer that really impressed you? I think it was the name of the beer was Annapurna, which was an amber ale by Southern Mountain Sun. I think they're still there on Pearl Street in Boulder. And I remember taking the 32-ounce mason jars home. By the time I got home, it was like oozing out of the lid because it wasn't a proper growler, but it was great. So that was kind of like, really got me into being interested in looking around for more craft beer. But it wasn't until I went to I had met my wife already. I think we were already married at the time. We came to a wedding in Illinois of one of her friends, and the father of the bride gifted everyone on their tables a homebrew IPA. And I thought, this is kind of cool. I didn't think about it. I was doing software engineering at the time. So I started chatting with a guy across the table who also brewed his beer. And long story short, the beer that we were gifted sucked. It was really bad. I didn't like it at all. And this was when I already liked a lot of different beers. And I looked at it and I looked at my wife and I said, it wasn't at the wedding though. We waited. We weren't that kind of jerks, but and I said, like, this is terrible. It's like, I can do better than this.
You heard the story, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Like you've been like, hey man, you literally sucked so bad. I went into an entire line of business to correct your mistake.
Just to correct, yeah. I guess I don't know if I wanted to prove something to myself, but or just I was kind of bored with what I was doing. So my wife buys me this is a very boring, very common story. My wife buys me a homebrew kit. I messed up royally the first brew because I didn't read anything about it. It's like, let's throw things together. But I corrected that pretty quickly. So within 6 months, I was running a small little brewery in the house. Definitely making more than I think it was the 200 gallons that you're allowed to by law at the time in a home, giving beers all over the place. And but that's really kind of got me started. It was that homebrew that we drank at the wedding. We're gifted at the wedding. It was the homebrew kit. It was basically the process and the science behind it. The guy who I mentioned that I talked to across the table is a physicist, scientist at Fermilabs. And when I went to brew, my very first time that I brewed with anyone in their house, I mean, he had like 3 books open, and it was all about the science. It was all getting the right temperatures, getting the right fermentation profile, getting the right original gravity. And I was like, I like that. It was actually not the beer; it was the process and the science behind it that got me really into it.
Interesting. So you're like the mad scientist back in the brewery, like tinkering, putting things together. Yeah,
that's the fun part of it. And then you come out with something great to enjoy after that too.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me about this name, Sketchbook. Where does that come from?
Many things, but mainly because of our DIY nature. So we were looking for names back in 2013, end of 2013, beginning of 2014, and my partner and I and the other home brewers involved we had like a wall before we painted the wall in Evanston. We had a wall with all names written down, and we believe we did the right thing looking at trademarks and whatnot. And we're like, yep, no, this one's being sued 3 times already. Let's not use that. And working with the creative people in the team, which is not necessarily myself, my business partner is a music artist and installation artist at SAIC, and his wife is a poet and an artist. So we got a lot of people with enough, artistic and creativity here. So the name Sketchbook kind of fell in our laps in some ways, and it kind of resonated really well to us because of how much invested we were in everything that we made. Like, we basically put together the entire brewery in Evanston, from what I like to call those what do they call those car and airplane kits that you get the whole thing and then you start gluing the pieces together, and in the end you have a model. Maybe we were given a pile of pipes and vessels with no instructions whatsoever, and trying to fit it all. This one doesn't fit here, move that tank over there. So that's something that people that follow us will see at any given day or week. One of us, my partner and I, will be doing something, installing something on the scissor lift or on the forklift. Another part of the business that I like a lot is just like doing it. So Sketchbook kind of fell in our laps in terms of the recipe development of beer, which you see in a lot of craft breweries, like just coming up with your kind of exuding everyone's creativity through their recipe development, and our DIY, whether it's art, music, beer.
Yeah. So obviously a lot of people are going to come through your doors into your tap room, drink your delicious beer that you figured out how to get us drunk using all of your pipes and tools. Thank you for that. Is there a favorite story or just one that sticks out in your mind of an interaction that you've had with a customer? It could be funny, it could be touching, whatever, just something that you're like, man, I'm going to remember that one.
There are many of them, of course. I love all of our customers, from the most serious to the drunkest, who I don't know that person, but somebody who just rolled down the ramp because I wasn't there that day and hit the wall and broke the wall. He was okay.
So the wall was broken. How was he?
He was fine. He got up, he attended the tour, drank his 2 half beers that we gave at the tour. He already came from somewhere. No, I don't think he was drunk. I think it was more like he just didn't realize that there was a ramp going down instead of 2 stairs, missed a step, and then rolled down and then hit the wall. It was drywall, a cheap drywall. There's the indentation is still there forever, never to be forgotten. That was one that I just actually remember now. The other one that never, ever, ever lives in my memory is we took, it was basically the faces of many, not just one customer, faces of many people at the Boston Extreme Beer Festival that we participated for 3 years before the pandemic hit us all. The whole point of that beer festival is to bring something that you don't just make normally, something that is really off the cuff, different. So we looked around and it was like, well, what can we do? It's like, well, we're in Chicago style hot dogs, no effing ketchup. I don't want to ketchup in my beer either. So we came up with a beer that was basically a Chicago hot dog style beer. And it had all the elements of it. It had the meat flavor from smoked malt. It had the sport pepper. It had coriander. So it was essentially a Goza with smoked malt. So
I trust you. I'm sure it tasted good, but
No, I know. See, the face you're making right now is not even close to the face that the people in line made. And I was holding myself not to laugh out loud the whole time. So people would line up for one of the 2 or 3 beers we had. They're like, hot dog beer? What the heck? And then they would grab that. They would have made like this really funny face at first. And most of them would take a sip and go like, huh, I kind of like this. I mean, I guess the expectation was so low to begin with that,
a resounding review. Kind of like this.
It was really, we do have people asking like, oh, why don't you make that again and can it? I'm like, no, this is one of those things that's going to remain in my memory.
Because it's a hot dog beer. That's why.
Yeah.
I feel like immediately I would just assume it was made with like the hot dog water.
Hot dog water?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we had many of those questions, but no, it was completely vegan.
There's so much to unpack there. A vegan hot dog beer. Okay, are you sure you're not the creative one here? Because I don't know if it's good, but it's creative.
It was pretty creative.
That's hilarious. So what do you guys have coming up for the rest of 2021 at Sketchbook?
Well, there's been a lot of changes. We started out in Evanston, a really small brewery. We couldn't make enough beer for the tap room, let alone some of our distribution around Chicagoland and Evanston and, the neighborhoods here. Many of you guys already know, we found a location in Skokie. So that's our second location, our bigger production area with a large tap room as well. And it's been kicking our butts, to keep up with demand, to be honest. So we're in constant upgrades and growing. So we just got our new canning line being installed today. That's going to help us tremendously. Some new tanks. So we're pumping out a lot of our mainstays, which is Insufficient Clearance and Orange Door, our double dry hop IPA. Nothing too crazy. We like styles, for lack of a better description, with a little twist. We're doing we have a Berliner Weiss with usually we have a couple of fruits in it, so strawberry and kiwi is the next one that we're going to have out in about a week or two. Our Oktoberfest obviously is already in the market, but we have more coming next week as well. I'm real excited about that. And we have, which is really cool, we partner up with a company from New Zealand on a product that they have that is grape. It's basically derived from grape skins that just boost flavors of like tropical flavors from the malt and from the hops by sometimes tenfold. So we're trying that. It's a completely new R&D project. We're dabbling in our can design right now, and that's going to be kind of fun. We're working with Omega Yeast here in Chicago as well that have a specific yeast that to work really well with this product. So we're excited. It'll probably drop in about 2 weeks or so. And we created a hazy lager with our friends at Illuminated. So we brewed it here.
I've heard of a hazy IPA, but what's a hazy lager?
There you go. So you gotta have to come and try. Yeah. I'll give you a couple points. Yeah. It's hazy. Ooh, it's a lager, and every other aspect of it. It's a lager. It's easy drinking. It's crisp. It's not bitter, but it's hazy. And it's really fruity from the hops and the yeast, the yeast that we use from Omega as well. So it's kind of fun. It's kind of a throwback, not a throwback. It's kind of a spinning the wheel, and you don't know what you're going to get, but you're going to get one of those things, which is everything else is a lager in it, but it's shifted few panes over to something completely unexpected. We don't know what to expect at. I think it'll be one of those where we're going to have the people that are lager drinkers. They want to see a clear beer, look at it and go like, what is this?
Yes.
Or the haze bros out there going like, this is not a hazy. So
oh God.
We just want to poke everyone a little bit.
Yeah. So, go to Sketchbook because you might get a hot dog beer, but you also might get a hazy lager. There's something for everyone. That's the whole spectrum.
Something for everyone.
I love it. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you want the people to know?
I think there's a lot of people that don't know that we have our Skokie location, really open outside of production. Go look for our beers everywhere. We're in a bunch of different places, Jewel, Mariano's. As every other brewery owner would say, if we're not there, ask them, bring some Sketchbook. Whole Foods, Trader Joe's, a lot of small places, a lot of small bars and restaurants as we're getting back. We've all here been are forever grateful for all of the locals that kind of saw us through last year. And, we're here and we built a place for these people. So we have a huge patio in the front. We're bringing music. We're going to have a killer Oktoberfest, we believe. The first of probably of its kind here in Skokie. We're trying to find the right music for it, obviously.
Obviously, you just have to put on Rock 95.5. That'll be your playlist.
There you go. Just play it. Just play it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Yeah.